about, well,
If we don't implement that process, we can't determine whether or not they're in compliance, and if we can't determine whether or not they're in compliance.
Exactly.
It's not just about the layout of the camp. That's important for fire protection. It's about all the refuse and the vector issues and the spread of potential,
Well, I didn't live there, and I didn't got no disease. I didn't get no bumps or
Is there a process
nothing. Like,
to determine whether they're
You
in
have
compliance?
admit there are people in there that fucking need to
And
clean
was
the
it
shit
followed?
up.
yeah, that's anywhere they go, it's
At
gonna
the
be like
same
that.
time, though,
Anywhere they go, it's gonna be like that.
Yep.
So
Can we
At
follow
the
that
same time, though,
process
we
to
asked City
determine?
Council
So
for
now
a
that it's
transitional
posted-
encampment
now
that would
that it's
relieve those
posted,
issues, and they
we will
voted
be
no.
moving forward with the process that is described in these.
So you're saying it doesn't matter whether or not they're in compliance with whatever criteria there
What
were?
I would suggest is if this camp council and the residents think that they have the potential this weekend to get into compliance, that certainly is something that we would be supportive of.
Can we get a guideline or
But
something
you
to
just said it
go
doesn't
around?
matter whether they're in compliance.
I think that would be favorable to the judge. The process that we have posted is happening.
Tail it to the judge.
Where are the criteria to determine whether or not they're in
It was
compliance?
handed out to the camp council many weeks ago.
We did that
Can you
guideline
tell me
for the
where
fire
it is
lanes that they
online so I
wanted.
can see it for
And
myself?
and the clearance of the top where all the rocks are in front of the
I
fence.
mean, can you tell me where the criteria are online, or can you?
I can try to make it available for you. It's been posted outside for quite some time.
Is it the
Outside
city's intention to
where? Outside
disperse
here?
the camp at all costs regardless?
No, that's not
Because they don't like
That's what it sounds like. And this is
Can you tell me where to find
today.
those criteria?
I don't have them in front of me, but I'd be happy
What,
to
you said it was posted outside, you mean around here?
It's been torn down. They've
Oh.
been, we've put
Hey,
up,
when
put
did
up
the
again,
three
put
get
up
put in
again.
the
They've been out
encampment?
for the last month.
When did the three?
Can we talk that, and I'll give you my email address?
You can write to your email on a piece of paper and hand it to me.
Hey,
Okay.
legally they can't.
So any legal
This is time
criteria-
and day. They want them to move today.
No. 22nd.
No, the 23rd,
Yeah,
because
so
the
the legal
22nd we find out
questions-
if they got their
legal
Yeah,
court order.
questions
exactly.
we're
Nobody
not-
should go
we are not
anywhere
able to
until the
answer.
22nd. I will let you know if that court order is successful or not.
Okay.
So I got a question for you. Susie, I have a question for you, and that is, and this was the question I raised earlier today. If you look at what's on the agenda for this Tuesday City Council, it reads, motion to direct the city manager to implement the City Council approved standard operating procedures for a permanent closure of the Gateway encampment with a target closure date of April 30th and so forth, and convert any temporary location, which is what you're talking
Even though
about,
that wasn't voted
relocation
on yet?
of the Gateway encampment under the existing council-directed site management plan to this permanent closure.
And that hasn't
alternate
even been voted
shelter sites. Yes, but it has 4 votes. That's the point.
That's all they need.
So it will be passed on Tuesday. My concern, Susie, is you have often been an advocate for homeless people, whether a year ago when you attempted to help people who were moving from the San Lorenzo campground to the, what they call the barbed wire boneyard, but you know, the place that was the first actual encampment that was ever opened in Santa Cruz, run by the city, which you were a part of. And you expressed a sincere desire to help with that. I've been very critical of you because of the closing date changes in that campground, the San Lorenzo campground, and its inadequacy for dealing with 200 people, which I think you acknowledge is just too many people in that campground. And if you add even the other shelters, unless you exclude all other homeless people in the community, you don't have a place for people. So the real question I have is there any point in talking about this closure stuff if in fact on Tuesday it's all going to be said there's no return to this campground? And also there was a resolution passed that parks will not be appropriate places for campgrounds. San Lorenzo is a park. So you're making an operational change that seems to violate what has been said by the City Council and passed as a resolution. Tell me if I'm wrong about any of this.
And they got kicked out of their work.
So can you respond to
Summertime's
that?
coming up, and we're not going to be able to be there anyways.
Please, please.
So, to get to what I think Robert's point is that we are in somewhat limbo with regards to the council direction. There is currently an agenda report that was posted yesterday on behalf of the mayor and vice mayor that is recommending for a closure of the Gateway encampment. What I think Robert is getting to is the city is moving forward with this management plan, which was directed two meetings, or 2 weeks ago, the last meeting. And that management plan requires for people to be relocated, and this was all contemplated by the council at the time, so we can entirely clean up the space and is structured in a way that complies with our state fire code and health and building code requirements, and then potentially move people back in. What I think Robert is contemplating is on Tuesday, if there are 4 votes at the council to permanently close this area, is it disingenuous to move people to the gateway, to the bench lands if we haven't contemplated where people are going to go after that?
Yeah.
That
should be a fair-
Let her answer. That's part of it, but the question is, you may remember one of the decisions of the council was, part of the resolution was there's no access to parks, neighborhoods,
second part,
and
yes.
parking lots. So that's a part.
That hits all 3.
Jordy, hold on one second. I've got, my head is full of stuff. It's just hard to get all the way through it. So what I want to talk about those 2 things separately. The first thing about kind of, is it disingenuous, and Susie as an advocate, am I feeling disingenuous, and that's what you asked me this morning as well.
And accused you of.
Typically, but I'm okay with it. Yeah.
You do.
Sure.
Well,
That's what I like about him, though.
that's how
Yeah.
it rolls. It's okay. Regardless of what Robert is saying, we will be providing what we're suggesting on this card at the bench. For some people, that might be a positive move. For some people, that might be a terrible move. Anybody who wants to is going to have an opportunity to go over there. Come Tuesday, when council considers what to do next, this is building the car as we're driving it here, essentially. We are going to have to regroup. We're happy to regroup with this camp council and figure out the best strategy, but I cannot contemplate, even though there is a 4th vote at this time, our council has been very dynamic in their votes. It's hard to fully forecast what is going to happen. So what staff has to do, and that's my role, is I have to work within the context of what we have been directed to do. And what we have been directed to do at this point is implement this management plan. And that management plan requires the full removal of the camp so we can clean it, and giving people suitable space outside of the camp so we can ensure that everybody has an alternative space to go.
Do you think you can move 200 people to the bench lands?
So with regard to Robert's
It's going to be a parade.
with regard to Robert's second point about the council direction to not use parks for encampments, right now we're in the process of dealing with a significant emergency situation. This is considered temporary. Because of that, we are comfortable moving there for the short period of time that we think.
I just
Are
don't
you
understand
accepting
why
a
it's such an
requirement to
emergency
keep
to
the
move.
camp in its
We
entirety?
gotta go one at a time. It's too hard.
me
Sorry.
Have you accepted the requirement to keep the community together as a community in its entirety as you move them?
Well, how about a bus? It's called a bus. Do you have
So-
buses? Can you
so,
bus
yeah,
people?
we-
It's right down there.
Anybody who needs
Not everybody
disabled.
can walk.
anybody
I know,
who
I'm
needs
disabled.
transportation, we will help with.
Have you accepted a requirement to keep the camp community together in its entirety?
Whose requirements?
The camp.
We haven't put that requirements forward to us, quite frankly.
Do you regard the camp as a community?
But I will say, everybody who's here who wants to move to the benchlands is welcome to move to the benchlands. So by virtue of that, the community may stay.
Well, the community came together for me the other day. I didn't. My ride decided they didn't want to let me know. I didn't have a ride to work, and guess where I came? Right here to Tent City, and borrowed a bike. So it's 3 minutes late
I borrowed
to
a
work.
bike
Do you
right
think
now.
anybody else in the community would have let me use their bike to
No.
go to work?
Be informed,
No.
the camp is a community.
These are my friends and
The
my
city has
family.
been dealing with the camp as a community for at least the last 6 months, coming to the council and speaking to the council as representatives of the community. There's a lot of documentation of that, and video of that, and so on and so forth.
Why is this such
So
a...
you've been dealing with the camp as a community.
So I am very aware of the community in here and built a community at River Street Camp last year, and I lived a part of that and was part of that as well. So yes, I am very well understanding of your point about that, and I think from the community perspective, coming together and having advocacy as a collective voice in terms of community is very effective, and I would definitely suggest continuing to do that.
And nobody shows up to the city council meetings. But if you want to be heard and have a suggestion
tell people.
really be heard, to the right people, you have to go to city council, right?
Yes, that is correct.
And then, yeah, you're treated a little differently when everybody knows you're homeless. Trust that. Why? I found out from the spokesperson from HSC and the vice mayor that day. I met them here on the levee. Santa Cruz, HSC got $486,000. Why can't they build a fucking shelter on Bob's campground? There's water, electricity, everything, and there's room for more.
HSC in particular?
Well, we're not even allowed to use the bathroom there, okay? It's terrible.
Yeah, and then HSC did get a grant
Yeah.
to continue the loft operation.
And they also had but this is to serve the homeless community.
what I think-
Those 60 people in there are not all there is.
I
agree.
got something to add. You might want to mention. Maybe how about getting the city to think about maybe affordable tiny homes, because not all of us want to be out here unhoused.
Not all of us, but some don't care.
And I have a question.
It's just too damn
well,
expensive.
Sydney had
hand
a
up.
question too. Sydney.
No, go ahead.
I want to know what.
Thank you.
Okay, if it's such a health and safety hazard, do you think that moving them all over there is not going to carry the same health problems? Because why? You think
No
you're not
water.
you keep bringing the same people with the same problems over there. Why is it such an emergency to move them out of here?
It's not the people that are the health and safety.
Okay,
It's
what
not
is
the
it?
people in themselves. It's the environment around
Then
them.
and the environment over there is going to be better.
It is the people within themselves because they're leaving their shit laying around.
in the ground, you're talking about MRSA. MRSA's everywhere.
And the sun clears that up. When the sun beats
So
on
I'm
it,
not
it kills
talking
all of
about
that.
MRSA and other types of bacteria. I'm talking about the prevalence and the fire hazard that's
And there's no
associated
one
with many tests that are put together and the tarp that is highly
So what's the
flammable.
difference at that other place?
They're not going to be connected like that. The tents will not be connected. They will all be separate.
And the city provided tents that are fire retardant and all that.
No, they're not. I mean, they're tents. They're not fire.
What are the size of the
Then
tents?
what do you do? Sorry.
Separation. Separation.
Well, a lot of people have more than just one person.
Is there a
per tent,
particular
you know?
size of the
Yeah,
tent?
it's
or-
really hard when everybody's talking at once. I
You
really
have a
want to be
question. We've had your
responsive.
hand up for a while.
You know what? And I want to know
on you.
before I
Hold on,
go.
you
Yeah, but she doesn't care.
Why are all the
She doesn't care. Because that's why you gotta do
I'm sorry,
stack.
we're having
We're in a
we need to give everybody a chance to talk.
Well, I mean, that's my safety too. Should I just go over and ask
Yeah,
him?
absolutely.
So one of the things I'm hearing is that there seems like there's a big lack of trust in this community with whatever city council says, and I get that you guys are just representatives. You're just sort of delivering the message, but it sounds like there's just a general lack of trust. So one question I have is, what guarantees are there that what is on the papers, like what they'll be given, all of that will actually happen, or that won't be taken away the next week, or what have you? Like,
Yeah, because the
Tuesday, this plan
city
could change,
directed
right?
these standard operating procedures, and they are based on case law that is post Martin versus Boise. So that case law requires the city to follow very specific guidelines through this process.
What if people want to use their own?
So those standard operating procedures,
Yeah, tents, they pay
we
for it.
have to follow them. They are based on case law out of Oakland. And
you have them?
that, and I can send that out. It was adopted by council at the last meeting.
Yeah, we should have those here.
It's
Talk
been
about
slightly
this. Well,
modified.
we're not
per-
online here, so.
Per Drew. Drew had a few comments.
I see a lot of
changes on
papers here, but I don't see that.
There's all the same. We printed out too much.
Susie, if the city directs you on Tuesday, San Lorenzo is an inappropriate place, that will stop the whole thing, correct?
If city council directs on Tuesday that San Lorenzo is an inappropriate place for the temporary relocation,
Correct.
Absolutely.
So if
That's
this
the only thing I had to
weekend
add.
we get the lanes
So to
that you
answer
guys
that
need.
question, there is no trust because the plans could change
on Tuesday.
Okay.
on Tuesday.
So this weekend, if we make up a crew and we get the camp with individual lanes in between each tent, that's what you guys want, right? Or is that what's needed
so that's what's
individually?
needed, yeah. I mean,
cleaned up.
yes, and all the
Yeah,
refuse needs to be removed, and the
Yeah.
vector issues need to be dealt with.
Okay, so
And the
is
topsoil
there
needs
any
to be
guidelines that we
removed.
could get so that we could work on that this weekend? So that
There's criteria, man.
has to be
Put your contact information on
But
why is that?
Why does the topsoil have to be removed?
Because if we're trying to maintain appropriate level
rat
of health
shit.
and
Hey,
safety.
can you bring in the soil and we could do that for you?
the MRSA in the soil.
Yeah.
No, wait, I
No, it's
didn't hear.
about rat shit.
Wait, I didn't hear an
About rats.
actual reason? Wait, what's the actual reason? Go on with that reason. I didn't hear it.
Because there's a significant number of hypodermic syringes underneath the soil, and a lot
How
of
do you
other
know
things
that?
And rats.
I've seen them, and rats.
I'm cleaning them up every day.
Yeah.
So I just want everybody to super understand.
Is that gonna be in the
Hold on one
criteria?
second. Hold on. It's hard to hear everybody at once. Megan and I are here per policy direction from the council. The more attacking you guys come in our direction, the harder it is for us to respond. And truly, we are the messengers in this situation. So I also want to respect what Alicia is saying. I know that it's challenging, and I know there has been a lot of back and forth with council direction and what they have decided to do.
Well, give us a chance to give us some guidelines that we can.
I appreciate that.
Please.
And I know you're a very hard worker, and I see that. And you're here every time we meet, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay. But unfortunately, we are at the will of the council as well. It's been challenging for me. It's been challenging for Megan to try to figure out how best to maneuver forward. What our sole purpose here today is to ensure that you have an opportunity to have questions answered. I might not be able to answer all these questions, and I don't necessarily know, but we just want to avail ourselves to ensure that the postings that have been made, that you generally have some understanding of what the city has posted and why. And your process at this point is going to the hearing on Monday, Department 5.
That doesn't give us enough time to work
Monday
on anything.
at Department 5 with Judge Burdick at 1 p.m.
I'm at work.
And at the council on Tuesday, around the same time, ironically, about 1 p.m. on Tuesday.
And move your asses out on Wednesday.
Those are the two opportunities to weigh in on kind of this policy direction, which we do not have control over.
Let me ask this. What about the people that have jobs over here? Because everybody acts like nobody has a job over here. There's people that go to work every day, and what if they're not going to be able to move their stuff because they're at work?
We will help people. We'll help people.
I mean, people just assume that nobody has a job and they're all just drug addicts and they're all just slammed up.
We did the same thing at the benchlands when we moved people to
Yeah,
River Street
people
camp.
that
It took
weren't
a
able
few
to move their
days
shit
and-
got their
and
shit thrown away.
We helped
There
them.
you go.
So I'm gonna say about another 5 minutes, and then we're gonna head out.
Where can I find some guidelines so that we can work on
It
and have a
doesn't matter
chance?
what guidelines you find. As of Tuesday, when they pass this motion, which they're going to do, there will be a complete closure of the Ross camp, and all
Be a
this
wasted
will
energy,
become
in other words.
academic. That is to say, meaningless. That's the reason I've accused Susie of spreading this information. She knows as well as I do that there are 4 votes on the council for this proposal. It's headed by 2 council members, and that proposal is not to clean up the camp. It's to permanently eliminate the camp. And no matter what they do in court.
This is not
They might
academic.
rebel.
This is going to happen. Okay. So the relocation of folks to the benchlands is going to happen.
Until Tuesday's vote against it. That's the point.
Yeah, why are they doing it before Tuesday's vote if it's likely to be closed
No.
then? Isn't that a waste of time?
The
Money?
council
Waste
is
of
not
city
going
money?
to vote on this on Tuesday unless Robert comes up and asks one of the council members to reconsider this relocation. This relocation has already been directed by the council.
And it's a temporary relocation.
It has also been directed by the council that they will stay open until there's adequate shelter. This removes that recommendation and that requirement.
When is there going to be adequate shelter?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
There will not be adequate
where-
shelter,
where-
and the point is that that requirement is being removed by this recommendation on Tuesday, which means that there is. And again, you seem to say that because it's an emergency situation, their ban on going to parks is essentially going to be overruled.
So whether we go back to this area or on to the River Street camp at 1220 and other events. Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish. This is really hard anyway. Just let me finish, okay? Whether we go back to the gateway encampment and it's cleaned up and well structured, or on to 1220 River Street or the VFW or Salvation Army, that process will be contemplated after the vote on Tuesday. At this point, while I agree with you, it seems pretty clear that we have 4 votes. I am not in a position to suggest that that is definitely going to happen. That is not my role.
No, but your role seems to be to give the impression that it's not going to happen, because if it does, everything you're doing is pointless.
That's not true. That's actually not true
Okay,
at all.
explain to me why that's not
Because
true.
this is going to happen one way or the other. People will be I think it's unfair to suggest that I am being disingenuous about the gateway encampment moving to the bench lands. That has been directed by council, and we are moving forward.
But there was a prior direction about no movement unless there's adequate shelter and adequate.
That is adequate shelter. We will accommodate every single person who wants to go.
It's not adequate indoor shelter.
So you've had your hand up for quite some time.
So you're here at basically the end of the process, basically to give notification, serve people notice. How are things going to be different in the next cycle when you go to the bench lands? Are these people going to be included in the decision-making process anywhere prior to the end of the process?
That's a really good point. But we've come almost every week for quite a number of weeks. So we're not here at the end of this process. We've been here for a few months doing this. Granted, we were not here at the beginning, and I think we need to be here at the beginning next time. So I think that. So hold on. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Let me finish. Community building is imperative for a transitional encampment, an indoor shelter, whatever type of shelter we are proposing as a city. It's important for those that are living there to have a voice in how the program is going to operate and to have the ability to communicate with funders, policymakers, people like Megan and myself who are implementing and operationalizing. I agree that's a critical piece of success of any of these programs, and I would very much like to ensure that the camp council and others that are interested are part of that process.
Okay, so to kind of, not so much as a gotcha, but I mean, I remember seeing an email saying we're coming on Friday to hammer out some plans. But the plan was, we made a plan and here you go. So that's not really including people, yeah.
So Meg and I don't have control of every situation. That's all I can possibly tell you.
Well, staff is quite in charge. You got more power than you let on.
That's true. Maybe I do. Maybe that's
So
what
the
people
community
perceive.
needs to agree, and that's what makes a harmonious community. So it seems like the people who are most affected, which are these guys, should be the ones with the biggest voice in the decision, frankly.
So,
Right, yeah, you're talking with people instead of at
so
them?
that needs to be brought to the city council. Okay.
And
so,
where's Justin?
So, you know
He
what?
wasn't required to come
Everybody
here.
should come to city council meetings
Go to his house.
whenever there are these questions are being contemplated. That is your voice in the public process. What Megan and I are trying to do is make sure that your questions are answered to the best of our ability and give people an opportunity to communicate further as we have those opportunities arise.
So with those department head meetings that were formulated for this plan, is there going to be more inclusion next time from the Ross Camp Council?
We're not going to be contemplating another management plan at this time. But what I hear you say, which I agree with, as the city moves forward with alternative shelter options, we need to be early on working with folks that will be utilizing those services to make sure they're included in decision making. And I agree with
Well,
you.
just the leadership group, the group that's agreed on by this group to interface with you, not just anyone.
And the department
Not
heads
choose
and the
out of the
manager
homeless
and
community who
Well,
might be a
an
part
actual
of
so I would
business
disagree
meeting.
with that because I actually don't think, while they are very effective and very responsible and do have a collective voice, I don't think the camp council represents everybody at this camp, and I think it would be very unfair to suggest that's the case.
Do you think
I
the city
it's-
council
let me finish.
represents
Let me finish.
everybody in the city?
No.
Is that a requirement? That's
So
not
hold
a
on.
requirement.
No, okay, go ahead.
Hold on.
Did Martin Luther King Jr. get a declaration from all black people before he spoke up for what was right?
I mean, let's not do semantics.
I mean, but
Okay.
I have to cough.
No.
I'll give you one.
My point is that you can be divided and conquered if you choose people who are not part of the leadership that are thinking
but what
clearly and have seen the
What I'm
whole
suggesting-
trajectory.
Right, but what I'm suggesting is that from working with individuals on their needs and actually understanding needs on an individual basis, it's not fair to build a collection and suggest that collection is accurate either. What we actually have to do is have those one-on-one conversations and ensure that we are understanding the needs of everybody as individuals. And so, that's a lot of work, but it's the right way to go. And I think from a policy perspective, it is good to have a collective voice. From a needs perspective, I don't think it's a fair
way to move
Well, I
forward.
think the leadership can provide you with the information about needs.
I think you have a question down here.
But
Isn't that
we're
what they
gonna-
do?
We're gonna head out. I really appreciate you guys coming out and got emails, and we will be out again over the next several days to ensure that you guys have access to.
So
Right.
when do they actually have to be gone?
How long is it temporary over there?
At what time?
When
About
do
a
they
week.
start moving?
And then,
I don't
so
think anybody
before that week is over, shouldn't,
anybody should go anywhere until we find out if the court order is.
I think more homeless
All right.
people should show up to city council meetings too and speak.
course.
It's not only
I
for
agree.
themselves,
What you
just
said.
for all
Well,
kids.
whatever, then you have to get them there. You know, we know that. Then you have to bring them.
I tried.
I know you do. I'm just saying, like, we know that.
I know.